Welcome to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank you so much for stopping by today. The subject of my vlog today is the Philippines. Is it an island paradise or the end of the road for old men? Before I get started, let me welcome my new viewers and new subscribers. Thank you so much for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of my channel. It's truly been amazing. I'll never take that for granted. Don't hit me upside of my head for asking the question, because I'm just asking the question. I'm not making a statement. I'm not saying that it's the end of the road for old men. I'm just asking, is it an island paradise or is it the end of the road? The Philippines, some people dub it the world's nursing home because of this perceived notion that so many old men come over here to retire and to live. The numbers don't add up though, but we'll talk about that later. I came up with the idea for this vlog because I got an interesting comment under one of my videos. The guy says, hey, there's a vlogger up in Luzon who says he thinks that more younger men should visit the Philippines or come to the Philippines. He said, do you agree? And I said, absolutely, I agree. I said, because one of the few things I regret about the Philippines is I didn't come here sooner. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that a younger version of me would have never made it here. And what are we talking about when we talk about young anyway? Because in America, once you hit 40, you're considered over the hill. I mean, imagine this. They think LeBron James is old. He's 37 years old. But just for the sake of avoiding the argument, let's say, 30 to 35. See, I was too wild. Even 25, let's say 25 to 35, because, those are young men. And I was wild. I was selfish. I was entitled. And I was going to bump heads with the culture over here. I was too narrow-minded. I didn't have enough life experience to really appreciate what makes the Philippines so special. See, once I got out of the service, I stopped traveling until I was about 40, in my 40s. So I fit neatly in that box that America had put me in. I wasn't trying to get out of the box. As a matter of fact, I was just trying to build a bigger box. I was comfortable living the life that I was living, very limited. I wasn't looking at any other options. To me, looking at my options was maybe moving to another city or another state. But in my frame of mind back then, because I was set in my ways at 30 years old, I became more open-minded and more willing to try things different as I got older. But I was set in my ways, so I would have thought, why would somebody come 8,000 miles to go on vacation? That's crazy. That's insane. And why would somebody come 8,000 miles for a relationship or to see a woman? That's being desperate. I just hadn't had enough living experiences to weigh it up. I would never have appreciated the Philippines. I wouldn't have lasted a week here, probably. I would have got bored, like a lot of young people who come over here. Because after so much partying and drinking and all of that, it wears thin. The dust settles, and they're ready to leave. You don't believe me? Look at the YouTube genre about Philippines. Outside of being a young Filipino, there's very few young foreign expat vloggers over here. There's only a couple that I can think of that actually live here. Most of them, they come here, they stay a couple of weeks, and they go on somewhere else. I saw one American woman, by the way, who was here for 3 days, her and her partner. I guess they was going around Southeast Asia or somewhere, but she was in the Philippines for 3 days. And that's usually what it is. But to live here as a young man, I would have never appreciated the Philippines. So what makes older men come here then? I just recently did a survey on my community page, and I said, what's the top reasons to settle in the Philippines? And I put number 1, women relationships, 2, cost of living, 3, a new beginning, 4, warm weather, and I think 5, I put other. And I was shocked by the response. Not really shocked, having been over here on and off for 12 years. But 49% of the people, and almost 600 people have responded so far. 49% of the respondents said they, excuse me, they came here for the cost of living. They wanted their retirement. They wanted their money to stretch further. And that's up for, argument, debate. But 25% said they came here for a woman and relationship. 17% said a new beginning. About 7% said warm weather. Then the other 3% said other. A bunch of them said all of the above. But when you look at the numbers, is the Philippines the end of the road for old men? It's really not, guys. I was just looking before I did this video. In 2019, there was 148,000 foreign nationals living in the Philippines. I mean, these are permanent residents. 148,000. Now, we're not talking about tourists. We're talking about people who actually live here. And we're not talking about long-term stay tourists, guys like me. But that's really a very small amount. China was number 1 with 56,000. The United States was third with like 8,000 something. Then in 2020, it went up to 168,000, probably because of the pandemic and having to have that SRRV to get in here. And of course, last year it went down because people got stranded. It's like 130,000. But when you look at that number and you put it in contrast to Mexico, Thailand, who by far have more older foreign men living and settling there, it pales in comparison. But neither one of those places has the reputation of being the end of the road. If you ask me, I'm going to say it's an island paradise. If I just look out my kitchen window, I can see the view. I have one of the greatest views that you could have from your house of the Canlaon volcano. I'm 8 minutes away from Sapaway Island. I'm 10 minutes away from Calatrava and its nice beaches. They're not white sand beaches. The average temperature over here is about 82 degrees all year round. And then when you throw in those other things, the cost of living, the beautiful women, it's an island paradise. See, there's a lot of eye candy over here. And I'm not just talking about women, man. I'm talking about some of the most beautiful beaches on the planet is here in the Philippines. But as a young man, I would have never appreciated any of that. I would have never appreciated the peace and the tranquility that comes along with living over here. The simple life would have went over my head. I would have got bored. I'd have went home like a lot of other people. First of all, I would have never came 8,000 miles for anything at that age. So as older men, we've got so much more life experience. The world has beaten us up, guys. Let's be honest. We can appreciate a place like the Philippines. So we come here. A lot of people have come. Is it a popular place for older men to come? Yeah, but is it the end of the road? Absolutely not. For people like me, it was a new beginning. I'm not the exception. I didn't come over here for a woman. I'm not the exception, but once I got here and I saw what was waiting, what was available for me here, absolutely it was the women. But as I've come to live here and stay here longer, It's much more to the Philippines than that. Why does the Philippines have this reputation? I think it has something to do, in World War II and the bases being here. Because most of the people who say it's the end of the road, they either have never been here before, it's something they read, something they've seen on YouTube. They haven't been here long enough to really get a real grasp about what the Philippines has to offer and really what it's all about. Or they came over here with the motivation. That's what they were looking for. And let's be honest. It's a salacious story. The old man and the young woman. So, is the Philippines an island paradise, or is it the end of the road for older men? I say it's an island paradise. I see very few old and older men here because the Philippines is so spread out. 7,000 islands, over 7,000 islands, 2,000 islands that are inhabited. You go to these metro areas, Cebu, Manila, Dumaguete, and all that, and you see this is where most of them are concentrated. But when you come to a place like San Carlos City, you don't really see a whole lot of foreign men. I can take you right now to one of the most beautiful islands in the Philippines, Siquijor Island. You will see very few foreigners there. The foreigners you do see there, they live there. Is it the end of the road? No. Most of what you see over here is guys in their 50s and 60s. The older guys, 70s, 80s, they've been here for years. But to call it the end of the road, let me put this number out here. In 2021, Mexico has 1.5 million Americans who call that home now. But it doesn't have a reputation as being the end of the road. I know it's closer to America than the Philippines. Thailand has 5 times more older men living there, settling there, but it doesn't have the reputation of being the end of the road. Whoever put that on the Philippines is wrong. Another thing about young men, you don't see a lot of young Western men here, but you do see a lot of young Asian men here. The top settlers here, as far as expats, China, India, America, Taiwan, Singapore. Then the bottom 5 is Japan, Indonesia, the UK, Vietnam, and Germany. See, in the top 10, there's only 3 from the West. There's not a whole lot of men over here. It's not overrun with foreigners, guys. Yeah, this is a popular place, but it's not the end of the road. The numbers don't add up. Just because it's popular and you hear a lot of people talking about it, that's one thing. But boots on the ground is a whole nother situation. It's not that many people boots on the ground over here. Be honest, raise your hand before you start looking at the Philippines and stuff like that. Did you know anybody who had come over here and retired? Very few people did. A lot of times they were here in the service, and even when they got out of the service, they never came back. But how many people did you really know that you could reach out and touch and said, hey, my partner, he moved to the Philippines, that's where I'm going? No. Most of us came to the Philippines because of what we heard and what we seen. It wasn't somebody who we were actually in touch with. It's very few people who've ever come over here from the West, man. To be honest with you, the numbers don't lie, guys. So I'm going to say that the Philippines are island paradise. It's not the end of the road for older men. I'm going to Boracay soon before they shut this place down again. And I'm going to show you why it's an island paradise. It's just so many once-in-a-lifetime destinations here. And there's very few foreign men over here, older foreign men. Do they visit here? Even the visitors are small. 8 million? This is a country of 110 million people, guys. It's a flawed reputation. It's not the right reputation. It's something from way back in World War II and when the United States had all these bases and stuff here in the Philippines. That's where they got that reputation as being the end of the road. Yeah, it's popular. It's popular as hell. That's why my channel has grown so well. But boots on the ground, it's not that many foreigners over here, man. It's not that many foreigners that actually even step foot in this country. There's more older foreign men who live in Mexico than came to the Philippines from America altogether. If you're looking at the 8 million that came here in 2019, pre-pandemic, the last time they had the numbers, let's be conservative. Let's split that down the middle and say half of them were men. Then split that down the middle and say half of them were single men. And then take out, let's say, another 20% that were gay, who are not interested in women. You're looking at about 3 million foreign men, man. It's not a lot of men. It's going to get swallowed up in 110 million. So no, this is not the place where old men come to kick the bucket. But it is a bucket list destination for us. Why young men don't come here? It's real simple, man. It's too far away. Their mind is not there yet. They don't look at things the way we do. They're set in their ways. They're still materialistic, and they still consumers, and they would rather buy a fancy chain or a nice set of wheels for their car than to buy a round-trip ticket to the Philippines. That's just the way I see it. It's not something that's written in stone. This is just my perspective. Is the Philippines an island paradise, or is it the end of the road for old men? Absolutely an island paradise, and I encourage you to come over here. Harold Teal, one of my subscribers, he asked me, he said, how long are you going to be doing videos trying to convince guys to move over here? Harold, you know that's not what my channel is about. That's not what I'm trying to do. You are grown men. I can't convince you to move anywhere. That's not what I do. I just give you my boots on the ground experience. I just want to give you the 360 about the Philippines. A little different perspective than what everybody else is getting. Because it's all over the place out there about the Philippines. But it's certainly not the end of the road for old men. So if you're in America, thank you so much for stopping by today. I will be uploading this. I got my Wi-Fi on today. So you're about to get up in the morning and go to work, go to the gym, get a newspaper, get a cup of coffee, and you see somebody in the street, buy them something to eat, buy them something to drink, give them a few dollars. If you're in the Philippines, it's about 5:30. You can see dusk is coming. There's no reason not to help somebody over here. There's not a day goes by that I don't help somebody over here. I've decided that I'm going up on the mountain where my son lives. If you go on my community page, his auntie sent me the pictures. They lost everything. I'm going to rebuild those 4 houses up there. They were just little bitty shacks, guys. But I'm going to spend $1,000 on each house and give these families a nice place to live, a better place to live. Well, why didn't you do it before Sunshine Shows? Well, who am I to go up there? Those people are happy and tell them, hey, you live in a shack, get out, I'm going to rebuild your house. No, I'm not like that. If they don't have anything else, they have dignity. But now, since the typhoon has just came through and destroyed everything, it gives me a legitimate reason to go up there and help his family. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do videos on it. Everything from the breaking ground all the way to I turn the little houses over to the people. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay COVID free. I'll see you next time.